Hi everyone, I'm Zach from PRONEWS. Today I'm joined with
Guillaume.
Guillaume. Thank you so much for being around.
Yeah, thank you.
Who are you? What do you do? Let us know.
Okay, so my full name is Guillaume Tauveron. So I'm French. I'm 44 years old. So I'm a filmmaker and slash videographer and photographer. And I live in Japan for 10 years.
What was one of the reasons why you came to Japan?
I came to Japan because I wanted to make movies in Japan. That was always my goal, and also I liked Japanese culture and Japanese movies, mostly from the 40s to 70s. I really like this kind of movies. So
You have a favorite movie?
my favorite filmmakers are Kurosawa Akira and Kitano Takeshi. It's really different style, but there are so many good filmmakers from this area.
We were talking a little bit. How long have you been working in film?
So I've started to make movies like 19 years ago. I bought a small mini DV camera, and then I started to make stuff, not really good short films, but it was my way of learning to do movies.
It's the beginning of it all, right?
Yeah.
You gotta make that not so good stuff, and then you gotta make that great stuff just to learn from it. That's what I've learned coming on new projects and then old projects. You know, it's so good to look at your past work, right?
Yeah, because for me the best examples were Sam Raimi and Peter Jackson, because they started with really low budget. They went to film because they wanted to film. They had really patient, and then Sam Raimi, after years, he made Spider-Man, and Peter Jackson made Lord of the Rings. So they went to the top of Hollywood, but they just started with their passion and not so many budgets.
Oh, I see. So those are kind of inspirations for you?
Yes.
Okay, so and would you call yourself more of a cinematographer or photographer?
So I've learned by myself to make short films, and then of course for some budget reason I was my own cinematographer, but of course my image was not that good, so I bought a small camera to learn photography and have a better eye. In fact, I'm working a lot for 20 years with a Japanese filmmaker named Hiroshi Toda, and that was his advice to me to have a better cinematographic eye. So I started photography, and then it's kind of all mixed for me.
What kind of style do you like to make? What kind of film is kind of your favorite kind of films to make, or photography? What's your kind of favorite photography?
It's difficult, but let's say I'm not someone who like lots of special effects and lots of movement with the camera. I mean, I like to, when I see a movie with like complicated movement with the camera and the image, but for me, I like most of the time not to move too much. And maybe because I like old Japanese movies, and it's kind of like minimalism. So yeah, I really like this kind of movies and atmosphere, and not so much dialogues also I like.
You were telling me you wanted to do novels or storytelling like before you became a filmmaker, right?
Yeah, the thing is, when I was 4 years old, I started to watch any kind of movies I could find, really anything. And then when I was a teenager, I've started to write novel because I wanted to write stories, and then I thought that could be good movies. So I thought to become a scriptwriter, and then I thought that would be better to make the movies by myself, to have the creative vision from starting to the end.
So what inspired you to pursue your career in photography and cinematography?
I mean, I think I was always at first a creative guy. I always wanted to do something like with acting or doing illustration or working in gaming. But really movies is for me, as I've said, I love storytelling, but with movies you can tell the story, of course, with the script. You can tell it with the images you choose, with the lights, with the sound, with the acting, so yeah, for me that was a better way to tell stories, I think.
So, I see. So you just wanted to tell a story, basically, is like...
Yeah, at first, yes. And then, at first, that was about story. And then when I started to do cinematography and photography, I became more and more interested in image and how to make image and the lighting, and also I really like this.
What are some challenges you may have come across when in this career? You're 20 years, right?
Yes.
That's a lot of challenges, I'm sure.
Yes, there was lots of challenges. I think One of the biggest challenge was because I've learned by myself. So first you have to learn lots of things, and so you make lots of mistakes. And also when you go to a film school, when you go out of the school, you have some network. And me, I had just me or some friends, and so I had to build my network little by little. Went to some places 19 years ago, so I went to an Asian movies festival, and I was working there as a volunteer, and I was in charge of some guests, and I was in charge of the filmmaker Hiroshi Toda, and then we became friends, and then I went to Japan and we started to work together, so he was kind of my mentor.
You chat a little bit about the independent film way and then the film school and then network. What would be something that maybe people could take from this? Like, if you are new and you're doing it by yourself, what do you need to do like to get that network? What's the best thing to do? Or I don't know, is there a particular way to go to find better networking as independent?
I think to have a good network, you have to show yourself and go to as much events as you can to meet people. Yeah, also to talk about what you're doing and show what you do on social media and send emails and this kind of thing. So it's really, lots of hard work, I think.
So how do you approach storytelling in your work, and how do you create a compelling narrative?
Before filming, I do a storyboard. I always also listen to lots of music, because music is really important in my movies, and that will be influence my way of filming, because I already know how I will edit and how I want the music, so I know that I want this kind of cut and this kind of cut after. So that's a lot of preparation, but also I know that you have to follow your inspiration. There are lots of things you can't really prepare before, or there are some really good inspiration on set. So yeah, let myself really let go also of the preparation. Sometimes I feel, okay, I thought to do this way, but let's do this way. So I think for me it's really important.
Post-production, what kind of tools do you use and why? Why do you use these tools?
Until 2 years ago, I was always using Adobe Premiere, because I've started with this and it was really good. And also, as I'm a photographer, I'm also using Adobe Photoshop. But for 2 years, I use DaVinci Resolve. I really like it. It's really, for me, easy to use, and also color grading is really nice.
It's all in one.
Yeah. But you also have color grading with Adobe Premiere, but I think it's way better with DaVinci Resolve.
What makes Adobe the go-to for filmmakers, like right away?
I have to admit, I don't really know about all these details.
Oh, I see.
As I've said, yeah, it was because I think when I started, it was I started to edit so 19 years ago, and it was Final Cut for Mac or Adobe Premiere for Windows. And so as I've used Windows, I went to Adobe Premiere and I liked it, so I went with this. But after
what kind of gear are you using right now?
For video, I'm using a Blackmagic 6K Pro. The difference between the Blackmagic 6K and the 6K Pro, with the 6K Pro you have ND filters inside, which is really a lifesaver sometimes. And also for the time you can you don't waste to add a ND filter, and then the sun change, so you have to take it off. So it's really good. Also you have a good screen, on a big screen, so you don't need really a monitor. And also the quality of the image is pretty good for me. So yeah, I really liked it. And for picture, I use a Canon 5D Mark IV, but it's also really good for video. So sometimes I use it also as a sub camera. And I think the two images from the Canon 5D Mark IV and the Blackmagic are like kind of good mix.
How do you balance your creative vision?
What do you mean?
With like the demands of a client? Like sometimes the clients, they have a vision, but then you got that creative vision, you know? How do you balance that?
That's difficult because, I think, how can I say? Filmmaker is a job. You have hours and hours and hours to learn how to be a filmmaker, to be creative, for lots of stuff. But lots of people think they can also decide some stuff, so they have their own ideas. So when there's a client, of course, I tell my own vision, how I will do stuff, but in the end, the client is a client. So if it's not with my idea, even if I think his idea is not as good as mine because that's my job, I said, well, I have to go with his idea. So I can't force him. So
right, yeah, it's tough to balance. Tough to balance.
You have to learn to let go. Of course, you have to try a little bit to explain, but he really they have their vision. So you have to go with this.
What strategies do you use to stay organized and focused on shoots?
That's difficult because sometimes you're not as focused as you would like because there's lots of problems around, but you can't. Yeah. I think I try to be really, really calm. The more chaos there is, the more quiet I become because I need to think quietly, but quickly. So yeah, I think that's the way I try to do things, to not panic, because as a filmmaker, I think one of the things you need is really to be flexible and to adapt really quickly. I think this is the most important.
Yeah, I think that's like really good advice because sometimes you see new directors or new creators, they get frantic, and then when the stage is burning, they start burning themselves, and then it just turns into chaos, and then your project is ruined, all the money. I have definitely heard this before. Stay calm and stay collected.
So I think that's why it's also important to be prepared, because once you have your preparation, then you can also go out of the box. But you need to
foundation.
Yeah, to have foundation. Yes, and me too. I heard some stories of filmmaker in Hollywood, and there was some problems on set, and he couldn't be flexible. He has his ideas in mind, and then he was just fired because they can't use this kind of guy. So
the final question I want to ask is, what is 3 tips that you would give filmmakers or aspiring filmmakers that are trying to break into the industry to be successful?
First tip will be to train your skill and your style. So at first, when you start, you have to do lots of video, even of course for free because you're starting, but have lots of fun, try lots of things, because that's how you will learn, how you will also know what you like, what you're good at, and also it's like a muscle, you know. The more you train, the more you have confidence, and the more you're better. So for example, when I've started, I've made like some kind of series of short film. There was like a green tail, yellow tail, black tail. It was lots of short films, and in every tail I was trying to learn more about my cinematography, about script writing, about directing actors, and it was really, really, really fun. And thanks to this, I had my own style, and then I began to have like requests for music video.
So first tip,
and also
enjoy what you love.
Yeah, enjoy what you love, and also sometimes it's also good to have some specificity. For example, me, I'm a French filmmaker in Tokyo, more in the music video and movies. So sometimes I have requests for people I don't know who ask me for example, recently an electro artist in France who see my name on internet and ask me to make a music video for him, or Japanese producer recently who asked me to make a short film, or one of my French friend is doing lots of video for cars brands. So most of the time when they need a video about cars, his name will pop up quickly. So I think it's important to have some specificity also.
Okay, so tip 1, tip 2.
Tip 2 will be to be patient and persistent, because that takes time, and there are so many people now doing video and wanted to work in this field, so you're quickly lost in the flow. So you have to really be patient, know that that won't happen in 1 week or 1 month, that will take time. But if you're persistent and then go on and do good quality and oftenly, I think in the end there will be something good, because all the people I know who are successful in this business, at first they had some hard times, but takes time. So really it's important to go on.
Be patient.
Patient.
Tip 2. Tip 3?
And tip 3, I've already talked about this, but be flexible, because you never know what will happen on the set, even if you're well prepared. For example, the weather, or lots of noises, or you have some locations that suddenly you can't choose it. For example, when I did my first feature film, Beyond the Blood, we were supposed to shoot in a park on some swings, but there was a big typhoon. so that was impossible, lots of rain. So we have to shoot in a public toilet with a roof. But for my movie, that was better because that was a dark movie and sad. So in fact, it was better to have the two actors talking in these dirty toilets. That was more in the atmosphere, because if you change your idea, you have to find at least an idea which is as good as the first one, or even better.
Before I go, I just want to know how can we find you? Do you have an Instagram?
So it's Guy Tauveron, but I don't know, maybe you can add it in the video.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Yeah. Can I talk a little bit about projects?
Please, please let me know what you're doing and what other projects. Yeah.
So I have to make a short film for a Japanese producer who asked me, but it's his project, his short films and his script. But also now I'm working on the 2 feature films about loneliness in Tokyo. So that should be independent movie, and I've written nearly the 2 scripts. We have like half of the casting with the producer Kaori Danjo, and soon we'll start a crowdfunding. Hopefully in 1 month, and we would like to shoot from maybe August to October. And also in June I'm going to France because I'm a guest in some big event to do a photo exhibition. It's about Tokyo fantasy, so that's pictures I made, and I do a little bit Photoshop to have like angel, devil, cyborg and this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's my main projects for now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and there you have it. Thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for future videos. My name is Zach from PRONEWS, signing off.